Welcome back. This is the Daily Thunder Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Woods. I am here with my trusty confidant, Daily Thunder beat writer, Brandon Rahbar. Brandon, how are you, man?
I like that. Trusted confidant. Yeah, that's impressive. That's better than like buddy or partner. I like that. But yeah, I'm good.
Very good. And let me just start with this off the top. I'll just go ahead and read my tweet. I'll start with reading your tweet. This is from at Brandon Rahbar. Lou Dort was a +5 in a 17-point loss. You could say Lou leaving the game was tanking one for the team. Now, you might roll your eyes at that. You might think that's a little cheesy. It is. But this is what I tweeted. This is my response to that. Brandon's dad humor goes very underappreciated on this website, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. It needs to be acknowledged. We're acknowledging it now. It needs to be appreciated. We're appreciating it. We're appreciating it now. It's tier 1. You have found your niche, and you're just like throwing heaters, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. It's about time. Jeez. I appreciate that. Let's go in and post-production and add like an air horn sound effect when you get done reading that tweet.
Exactly.
Like really put some make it sound like awesome.
That is what should happen through people's phones as they are reading it, because it's just flames every time. The dad humor, yes, it is corny humor, but it is awesome.
I love that this is because you told me before we started the show that we're going to start off with the biggest Thunder news of the day. It turns out my dad humor tweets are the biggest Thunder news of the day. This is not what I expected. This is great. Best start to a podcast ever.
The biggest news of the day is that we have to start taking note of these museum level tweets. All right. So
put them in the Louvre.
Yes, exactly. So Oklahoma City drops a game tonight, a game that they were very competitive in against the Boston Celtics. Want to start though with some pretty substantial news from earlier today concerning Al Horford. This is from Woj, ESPN sources. As the Oklahoma City Thunder turn to younger players in the nightly rotation, 5-time All-Star center Al Horford will be no longer active for games this season. So I guess it was right before the All-Star break, we talked about, have we seen the last of Horford? And we both were kind of thinking we had. Ends up we were wrong, but only by a couple games. We won't see Al Horford for the rest of the year. We'll get into his replacement here pretty soon. But just your initial thoughts. Were you surprised? And I guess it kind of signals the obvious. It's more of the same that we've seen since the All-Star break, as this team is, in their words, going to explore the roster. They are doing that. And just your thoughts on Al Horford, maybe just the news and then his response. We can get into the quote from him.
Yeah, to me, this was a more exciting tweet from Woj or Shams than we got during the trade deadline as far as the Thunder are concerned, because this has a big impact on the Thunder's draft pick. This is huge news, quite honestly, because when SGA was out, I was like, okay, so bummer. Obviously, you never want to see Shea hurt or anyone hurt for that matter, but, it's going to help get, hopefully, a top 5 pick. But then in the back of your head, you're like, but these guys try so hard. Plus, they still have Al Horford. Al Horford plus a bunch of young tryhards and Mark Daigneault equals some wins that maybe doesn't get them into the top 5. So this kind of alleviates that. And I think it's smart. It's smart for the team for reasons already stated. It'll help them with the draft pick, which is huge for the Thunder moving forward and the future of this franchise. It is very, very important to get a top pick. But it's smart for Al Horford, too. He's having a great season. Well, I guess we can say past tense now. He had a great season. and he recouped a lot of his value along the league. I mean, amongst the league, people looking at it kind of like Chris Paul on a smaller scale, but he's a 5-time All-Star, considered old and washed. On a bad contract he comes. He hits more three-pointers than he's ever hit before. He's shooting them at a 37% clip. He's scoring well. His best season in several seasons. It's showing that what happened in Philly last year was a fluke. It was an anomaly because they didn't know how to use him correctly. Al Horford can still help a playoff team win games, and it can help a contender. And, will they find a trade partner? I think so. With one full year and then a partially guaranteed deal after that, I think that there'll be teams with some bad contracts. It's always easier to trade in the offseason. So it helps Al Horford's, career going forward, get him on a playoff team, retains his value so he doesn't get hurt, and, he risk it. And risk it for what? For a team that wants to lose anyways. He's going to provide leadership still in the locker room, what he always, has done this season. He's a class guy all the way through and through, the ultimate pro. He's great on the court. He's been great off the court for the young guys. He's going to continue to be that guy. Just a all-around thumbs up to Al Horford.
This is more from Woj. Horford plans to remain with OKC teammates and train at the team's facility. After season, Horford will have 2 years, $53 million left on his deal, and Sam Presti has pledged to work with Horford and his agent Jason Glushon on finding a destination that fits better with this stage of his career. This is a quote from Horford. Quote, I know what it's like to be a young aspiring player, and at this point in the season, I understand how important playing meaningful minutes is for their careers and their development. I look forward to supporting the guys who supported me. When I arrived, I understood the direction of the team. We had a great individual plan in place for me, and I feel like as a result, I've played really good basketball for the Thunder. So that is about as positive a quote as you can ask for from a guy that's now being asked to just wear street clothes for the rest of the season. So first of all, shout out to Al Horford. Shout out to Anna Horford. Why not? Just a very, very high class move from Horford because we've seen even just this season, guys, they're a bit disgruntled from this exact situation. So just good on Horford and good on the Thunder for doing what needs to be done for the sake of the pick. It's a good move, and we get to see a lot of a guy like Moses Brown, who had a phenomenal night tonight. What was that first half line? 18 and 19?
I know he had 19 rebounds. I believe 17 points. I think it was 19 and 17. I know it was 19 rebounds because that's all anybody was talking about for good reason.
Yeah.
I was really, really upset actually that he didn't get credit for a rebound that he tipped to somebody else. I was like, come on, give him that rebound.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have got it without him because it would have been 20 and a half.
So second fastest Oklahoma City Thunder player to a double-double ever. And he finished with 21 points, 23 boards. 6 of them were on the offensive end, 17 defensive rebounds. He was really, really good. He's very fast. He gets up and down the floor very well. He's defending well. I think they've, to get an extended look at him is only good for many reasons, but number one, his growth, his development. He's had a great year, both with the Blue and with the Thunder, and now a guy that you can play big minutes and still be able to drop games like they did tonight against the Celtics. So really, really good night for Brown, a good night for the Thunder. We'll get into more reasons why this night was beneficial. But do want to mention Dort. Dort had a really good game. Started off really hot. The whole team started off really high. You could kind of tell from the beginning, like they were the more energized team, the team that was going really take it to that first quarter, which is very similar. We've seen that all year, but the Celtics were completely unprepared for what they were getting into at the beginning of the game. And Dort had a big say in that. So, what did you see from Dort? And then what have you heard since he left the game earlier tonight with the injury?
Dort was great to start the game. He hit a few threes. He was scoring well. He ended up with 10 points before he left the game, and he was just controlling the game. Even though Maladone was the point guard, Dort kind of was kind of dictating the game to begin the game. And of course, as usual, great defense. Jaylen Brown started off, I think, 3 of 10, and that was basically because of Lou Dort. So he was great to start. Anytime that he can hit a couple of threes to start the game is big. I mean, because it's one of those things with Dort. He's going to do everything else well. I know he is. I know he's going to defend well. I know he's going to hustle. I know energy. He's going to get any rebound that's close to him. That's just what he does. And most people just kind of judge his night on whether he hit threes or not. And he came out shooting and hitting. So up to Lou Dort, and he was a +5 in his minutes. And, I'm not saying that the Thunder lost because Lou Dort went out of the game. The fourth quarter was its own thing. The Thunder still had a lead after 3 quarters. They led after every single quarter besides the fourth quarter. And Dort was great. Not much more to say about him as far as his injury. It's just concussion-like symptoms. So we'll see if that means he actually has a concussion. He'll go through, the usual protocol. I would expect the Thunder, since he's the last remaining starter on the team, for him to miss a game or two. Obviously, if it's a concussion, he'll definitely miss games. And if it's not a concussion, hey, you still got a little boo-boo on your head, Lou. Let's just stay out a couple games just to be sure. Sometimes those machines aren't always accurate.
It will be very interesting if they go without Shea and Dort here for. I mean, obviously we're not going to see Shea, but if they were to go without Dort as well for a handful of games, now we're getting into full on tank mode, which is exciting. The Thunder are close. They are inching closer to a bottom 5 record, which is very advantageous for them. Let's get into a couple teams that helped the cause tonight. The Wizards got a win at home tonight against the Pistons. And the Wizards are a team, I believe, Brandon, they are the team directly in front of us in terms of like getting to the bottom.
I believe the Raptors are. I believe the Raptors.
Yep, I'm looking at it now. Toronto and Cleveland are between us and Washington. Yep, you're right.
Right.
So yeah, Washington gets a win. They're now 16-28. Oklahoma City sits 19-26. And then Cleveland just lost by 2 to Sacramento. That was a very close game. Toronto, I'm telling you, Toronto is much better than their record. I should say they can certainly play well above their record, which they showed a couple nights ago against Denver. Just blew the doors off of Denver. So we'll see if Toronto can. I mean, Toronto, as far as playoff standings, are they're just one spot out of the play-in. They're a game and a half behind Chicago. Chicago's another team that's down there as far as standings goes, but they're fighting. They're the team right in front of Oklahoma City, and they're fighting to stay in that play-in, and they made moves accordingly. So I would expect Oklahoma City to not have to really worry about Chicago, Toronto. But now looking ahead, every Washington win helps. Every Cleveland win helps. And then let's see who else got a big win tonight for the Pelicans.
Yeah.
The Pelicans. Talk about the Pelicans, why that's such a big deal.
Yeah, the Pelicans coming into tonight were tied with the Thunder, which is ridiculous considering they have Zion Williamson, who was an all-star this year. They have Brandon Ingram, who was an all-star last year. They traded for Steven Adams. They got Lonzo Ball. They decided not to trade him away. They want to compete. They want to get a playoff spot, and they had the same record. But the Pelicans won tonight, which was big, and the Thunder lost. So now there's a game between them. It's really fortunate that the Bulls are going in. They just traded for Vucevic, and the Pelicans want to win. The Kings got to win over the Cavs. It's one of the few times that you wanted to root against the Kings because it'd been better if the Cavs would have won. But the Kings are going to keep trying to win. Anytime they win, that's a good thing, though. Really, what it comes down to, because the Raptors keeping Kyle Lowry was really big for the Thunder as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have him, Siakam, and Fred VanVleet. You figure they got to win enough at least, and they're close enough, like you said, to the playing game that they'll win more than the Thunder moving forward. The Wizards are obviously trying to win, and if you look at their upcoming schedule, they're going to win a lot of games. Russ and Beal are going to win some games. I think it seems like the top four are set. It feels like it'd be hard to pass any of those top four. It really feels like 5 or 6 is going to be the spot for the Thunder. It's going to come down to the Thunder and Cavs, I believe, for the 5 and 6, and who can out tank the other to get to the 5 spot. The 5 spot really real nice because it's 5 percentage points higher that you get a top 4 pick, and then obviously the higher you get, if you don't get drawn in the top 4, then it's the difference between getting the 6 and 7 pick or the 7 and 8. So the higher or lower you get, the better. I think it's going to come down to the Cavs and Thunder for 5 and 6.
So another interesting way to look at that is Orlando is probably going to be in that bottom tier, even if they had kept Vucevic through the trade deadline, even if they had kept all their guys. They weren't winning games. And now Chicago, a team that could have thrown in the towel, now has Vucevic and has a chance to go and play for that play-in game, which really helps Oklahoma City. Is another team they don't have to worry about trying to pass or trying to move down below. So there's another team. Let's see here. Oh yeah, the Kings. The Kings winning really does help. We want the Pelicans and the Kings to believe they have a shot, whether they do or not. We want them to think they have a shot at that play-in area, because we're playing Sacramento multiple times over that last week. That is a huge swing. If they're still competing, they're a team to look for, because if they're a game or a half game out of that 10 spot, if it's close, they're probably going to be handed 2 or 3 wins there in that last week.
Yeah, and there's so much. One other thing I want to bring up, since we're talking about this, there's so much confusion about Houston, and half the people, it seems like, feel like you want Houston to lose to get the worst record. Then half of them are like, no, we want Houston to win so we can get. Here's the deal with Houston: you either want them, you don't like them really being in the 3 spot or the 2 spot. You want them to get as high as you can, because it's better for the number 5 overall pick if they don't get drawn. So you either want them to be 1, or you want them to fall down to 4 or 5, because the percentage points start lowering. And actually, if they drop even to 4, then the Thunder have a better chance of getting their pick than they do.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you don't want them in the 2 or 3 spot, because 1, 2, and 3 all have the exact same percentage chance to get drawn. So there's my little thing on Houston. You can choose whether you think it's better to have a 48% chance to get the number 5 pick, or say a 60 or 70% chance to get the 7 or 8 pick. That's kind of being debated as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the worst percentage Oklahoma City could have to keep or to get that Rockets pick is 48%.
Yeah, technically 47.9% would be, even if they end up with the worst record in the NBA, it's basically still a coin flip with a slight advantage to Houston that the Thunder get their pick.
Did you see their game last night against Minnesota?
It feels like they purposely lost it. Like I don't think players ever purposely lose, but I just don't understand. They had such a huge lead through 3 quarters, and they had 91 points through 3 quarters, and they scored 10 points in the 4th quarter. They didn't score the last 7.5 minutes of that game.
It was 101-85 with 7 minutes 28 seconds left.
Unreal.
And and they lost the game 107-101. The Timberwolves ended the game last 7.5 minutes, 22-0.
That is absolutely insane.
Isn't
Like,
that
and
wild?
it's crazy.
And then
And maybe
they
that's
come
good for
back and they come back and beat Minnesota tonight by 22.
yeah. Just looking at, and they didn't have Christian Wood tonight. It makes no sense. I'll tell you what, though, Kelly Olynyk, I'm telling you, they could be a great trade for the Thunder because I'm not sure that Victor Oladipo at this point is a more positive player than Kelly Olynyk. I know that sounds ridiculous, and I still think it's hilarious the return that the Rockets got for Oladipo when they could have got, Chris Levert and Jarrett Allen, and they just bumbled that all the way. That said, as far as like fit and winning basketball in this season, Olynyk might be a more positive player. I'm not sure. So it may hurt the Heat and help the Rockets, which could end up helping the Thunder on both ends.
If that pans out, then we're dealing with some powers that be that we are unaware of.
Well, and the Heat thought for sure they were getting LaMarcus Aldridge,
They definitely did. They definitely
which
did.
may have been a factor in them letting go of Olynyk. I mean, I don't think so. I think they still make the trade because you can get Oladipo. You do it. I get it, but I don't know, man. I don't know. The Heat have lost 5 or 6 in a row. It's such a good safety net if the Thunder don't get the Rockets pick. What that Heat pick could be, even if they make the playoffs, it could be as the 7 or 8 seed, and the Thunder still have possibly a pick in the teens, which would be just fantastic.
Yep. And the Heat, yeah, you're right. The Heat have lost 6 in a row. The Heat stink. Like,
Yeah.
they really stink. There was a point in the season where they started to get it going a little bit, and people started talking about their odds to come out of the East and how dangerous they stink. The Heat stink. And
The,
right now they're 15. That pick is 15.
here's my
One spot
thoughts on
outside the lottery.
Yeah, which is phenomenal for the Thunder. That's just phenomenal. I need to look at their schedule. I know I'd looked at it at one point to see. I think with them, they just rely so much on the shooting of Robinson and Hero and Dragic and those guys. Obviously, Butler and Bam are great overall players, but they're really the only two-way players that they have. Other than that, they have either all defensive players or they have all offensive players. And as we know with past Thunder teams, that can be hard to win sometimes when you rely on two stars. But the difference is Butler and Bam are nowhere near what Katie and Russ are. That's why Katie and Russ could do what they did, and win even with one-sided players surrounding them. But I just think that Heat team just isn't constructed in a great way. Oladipo theoretically is a two-way player, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get a gauge on him through this year because the Rockets went on such a massive losing streak with them on the floor. Not They didn't play every game, but it still amazes me that Minnesota has a worse record than Houston after that big of a losing streak. It's kind of impressive.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, when you're talking about the Thunder trying to get top 5 pick because they have Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, the number 1 overall pick, Anthony Edwards, who's coming into his own, Malik Beasley. But D'Angelo Russell's been out for most of the season with an injury. Karl Anthony Towns missed a lot of time with COVID. Malik Beasley is suspended. Edwards didn't come around into form until lately. So, could they start picking up some wins? Yeah, I guess, but there's such a huge difference in record right now between the Thunder and Wolves and such little time left. I just don't see any way for that to happen. And if the Thunder don't get the Warriors number 1 pick this season, then they get the Wolves second rounder, which right now is the number 31 overall pick. So really it's probably better for the Wolves to keep losing for the Thunder.
Yeah, that's very true. And I was talking about this with Eric Horn last night. Would you rather Minnesota keep their pick and a top player, which means they get a top 3 pick? Would you rather Minnesota get a top 3 pick and a guy that we really want go to Minnesota, or them to lose that pick outside the top 3 and it go to Golden State?
Oh, go to Minnesota. Absolutely. Like without question, I'd rather go to Minnesota. I don't want the Wolves to get a top five dude from this draft. No way, even if it's 4 or 5. Uh, I get I get it. I get where this is going. Like, talented players just go to waste away in Minnesota. But it just at some point they're going to have a lot of talent. There's just no way to mess that up. At some point, Carl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Russell, and a top 5 or top 3 pick, they would start winning, even in Minnesota. Uh, if you go to the Warriors, then you got Curry, Clay, Wiseman, Draymond, a top 5 pick. Yeah, I don't want to see that. No
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah, I'm more in that camp. I'm on Tankathon and hit Sim Lottery one time, and it took once, and Oklahoma City jumps to 2, and Houston falls to 6. We like,
Nice. That would be, if the Thunder could get, a top 2 pick and then get 5 or 6 from Houston, that's as good as it gets.
yep. And so I'll ask you this: uh, so who do you think they have Oklahoma City taking it to?
It's got to be Evan Mobley. And
Yeah.
are you wondering because Moses Brown is looking so good, do you take a center there?
No,
Yeah.
no, it's Mobley all day. But you're right. Who do you think they have them taking at 6?
Maybe Moses Moody.
This has them taking Jalen Johnson, um,
Huh.
from Duke,
Yeah.
which is I'll be honest, kind of gross. They have Moses Moody. Moses Moody was like in that 6, 7, 8 range for a while. He's down on Tankathon, and this take it for what it's worth, um, but 12. He's down to 12. They've got
Really?
they've got Jalen Johnson 6, Scotty Barnes 7, which miss me on both of those guys right now.
Agreed.
Um,
Agreed.
Corey Kispert at 8, James Booknight at 9, Keon Johnson from Tennessee at 10. And then there's a foreign center, uh, Alperin Singun. That is not how you say his name, but that's how it looks. At 11, he's a center from overseas. He's listed at 6'9", center. And then Moses Moody, Jaden Springer, um, and then the rest of the guys. But yeah, kind of wild to see Moses drop. Um, Speaking of Moses Moody, shout out Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
My school was so hoping that 3 from Max at the end was falling. It really looked good. But there's Moses Moody. He had a great second half, and he continues to show like high level of 3-and-D play. I really like him.
Yeah. No, I do too. If honestly, from all the research I've done on this upcoming draft, which is a lot, and I will admit that I've done way more than I'd like to admit on the top 5 guys.
Yeah.
But as the Thunder have exceeded that's redundant. Exceeded expectations. I've started to look at kind of the 6 through 12, 14 guys.
Mm-hmm.
I like Moses Moody a lot, honestly. I like what he does. I would definitely take him higher than what Tinkathon has him. I like Corey Kispert a lot.
We both like Kispert a
Keon
lot.
Johnson. I like is it Kai Jones who just declared from Texas?
Yeah.
Even though we've had bad luck with Longhorns in the past, I still like him. There's a lot of nice guys in that 6 to 14 range, but I'm with you. Stay away from Scotty Barnes. Only guys who can shoot from here on out, unless you're Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah.
If I'm the Thunder, you still hope to get a top 5 guy. Obviously, 2 top 5 guys would be the dream. But if you do end up picking in that 6 to 10 spot, there's still a lot of good players.
They've got Kai Jones at 22 right now.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
That's great.
He's gonna go higher than that.
Yeah, I agree. That's great value for him at 22. So I was thinking about it yesterday, like just like a bird's eye view of Oklahoma City, like how unbelievable it was for them to how quickly they became so good by drafting Durant, Westbrook, and Harden in 3 straight drafts. It got me thinking like how crazy the story would be, especially in context of of Presti and his career if they make the playoffs last year with Chris Paul, move everyone, and were to somehow land the number one pick. Like how insane it would be for just reigniting another era of Thunder basketball to get Cade, or if they were to get like two or three, if they were to get like one of those tier one guys, how unbelievable it would be going forward.
No, it would be ridiculous when you look at what this team has done this season. I mean, honestly, you got to wonder if George Hill didn't get hurt and they didn't rest Al Horford and SGA didn't get hurt. Like if they were full strength all season, could they make the play in? I think they could, quite honestly, which is nuts when they purposely tried to trade away everybody for a top 5 pick this season. That said, yeah, if you can add any of those top 5 guys, especially Cade and Mobley, to this current squad. If you just have SGA and one of those top 5 guys, and then all these picks coming up, and then the likes of whatever Lou Dort becomes, and it's looking really great. Moses Brown becomes, Maladone, Poku. What's great is they have so many young players that have shown promise, and some of these guys, they are what they are, and they're going to show some promise, and then they just kind of become a guy, and they're. I'm not going to say fizzle out, but Terrence Ferguson showed promise at one point.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be guys that nothing becomes of their career as far as long term goes. But if one or two of these guys hit and they become either solid role players or even better than that, and you got SJ and a top 5 pick and all these picks coming up, I mean it's such a great start to a rebuild. It will accelerate the rebuild in such a big way.
No doubt. And just while we're talking, I'm watching how the Kings game ended. Have you seen this?
I Harrison Barnes hit a 3 at the buzzer, and it was like a ridiculous. The Cavs should have won that game, which actually bums me out.
It was after a goaltend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Cleveland, apparently the Kings went down 98-97 after a goaltend on a bucket for the Cavs. And then
I didn't. That makes it even worse. They could have won off of a goaltend.
Sorry, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, so Colin Sexton hits a go-ahead basket, which was ruled a 2. Two ruled and reviewed for goaltending. Yeah, so they reviewed it. They called it a goaltending, reviewed it, and they showed that Rashawn Holmes got it right after it hit the glass. And so they went up 98-97. And
wow.
And then Harrison Barnes hits an unbelievable shot. Wow. The Kings are a game back in the loss column of the play-in. Yeah, I'm with you though, that just to throw a guy like Kuminga or Green or what, like Green's going to be phenomenal. I'm really pumped about all 5 of the top tier guys. And another player that I've been very intrigued with is Atlanta's John Collins. He's real good. Real good. Like he reminds me of like a fully realized Darius Baisley. Like that's kind of if Darius Baisley topped out, I think, and I could be dead wrong about this, but if Darius Baisley at his peak, what he's shown so far, like fully realized Darius Baisley to me looks a lot like John Collins. A very capable 3-point shooter, but does a lot more than that. Good rim protector and a great pick and roll lob threat. I don't know if you've seen much of him, but he's awesome and a guy that I would love to see Oklahoma City bring in if they were to get one of these top 5 guys. If they were to get John Collins at some point down the road, I think it would be, obviously if you draft Mobley, things change, but if you were to get a guard, I think it would be phenomenal.
Oh, I mean, I would love to have John Collins, and I'm sure Atlanta's asking price was really high, and I'm sure that their win streak right at the deadline had a lot to do with their keeping him. Why trade away a guy when they've been so hot lately? And if I'm Atlanta, I keep him. I think it's ridiculous that they were talking about trading him. He's got all-star potential, absolutely. and he's young. I mean, him and Trey are a great 1-2 combination moving forward. I think the Hawks would be nuts to let him go, but we'll see if they match whatever offers he's given. I think that they would, but if some team throws a max at him and they don't match, hey, that's fine. I think he's a max type player. The max is tough because LeBron is on a max. So it's you talk all the time about value of a max or a super max. When players are getting basically the same amount of money, but one is much, much better. So you can be a max guy and worth it, but then not really worth it at the same time. It's a weird deal. So you have to balance all that when you're deciding how to split up your money. And that's why the Thunder are going to be patient. They're going to throw a lot of money at SGA and he'll take it and it's going to be awesome. But is it worth it to give a guy like Collins the max? Or, do you want to save that money for somebody else who might be worth it a little bit more? And how do you want to, be flexible with your salary cap moving forward? Let's say you do get a Cade Cunningham or a Jalen Green to put next to SGA, then you got some nice rookie contracts. Then you want to go and spend money on some other star that you may be able to get. It's being a GM is a lot more complicated than you think. I imagine.
No question. And
So many things you got to balance.
adding a top 5 guy, it gives Presti even more flexibility with all of these future assets to
Yep.
whether he wants to cash them in. We've said from the start, like, he's probably going to be more patient than most Thunder fans would like. But at some point, SGA is ready to go. You know what I mean? He's ready to go. And if you add a guy that's just a couple years away, it's going to be very hard not to cash in some of those assets for somebody that might be a little more established and even much better than John Collins, a player that's even better than him. So it'll be very, very fun to watch. I didn't want to shortchange the game too much. I was very impressed with Poku. He had a couple really awesome plays, couple highlight plays. And then I thought Maladon had a really good game. He led Oklahoma City in scoring with 22, 8 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals. I thought he was solid. He hit 4 threes. Poku went over from the 3-point line, but had a phenomenal pump fake drive and just a hammer dunk. Like, he does stuff at 7-2 that's really, really impressive.
Yeah, he really does. Poku, ever since the bubble, coming back from the G League, he's shown more and more. He's whether or not his shot is dropping or not, just the comfort level he has. He had a lot of assists tonight. The passes he makes, and he's using the pick and roll. He does it so well at 7 foot, and he's so lanky and all those things. But he's so much more agile in his ball handling. He's really, really skilled. He really is. And when his shot's dropping, he looks great. Even when his shot's not dropping, though, he's doing a lot of things as the youngest player in the league. And only weighs like $120 at 7'2". Just think of the potential. The potential is off the charts with Poku. And he's already flashing some of it.
It really is. I'm pumped to see what he looks like with with an off season of training, off season of weightlifting, and off season of just eating. Maybe he takes a couple trips down to Toby Keith's I Love This Bar and Grill. Somebody get that kid to Bricktown and treat him to some ribs or something. I don't know. But somebody get some meat on him, and it's going to be really, really fun to watch Poku in like 6 months whenever these players come back for camp and for media day. Like, that'll be, I can already see the muscle watch tweets for Poku.
Yeah. What you forget, and I'm not saying this is going to happen because I'm not saying this is going to happen, but remember what Giannis looked like his first season in the league?
Yeah.
And then know what he looks like now. And you know how much beef somebody like Darius Baisley put in from season 1 to season 2. When you look at those pictures, these NBA players, they can put on some meat. And Poku is still growing. Like, he's not even officially done growing yet. He's so young. Like, his body is still literally growing as we speak. He is growing. And so he's going to be able to add muscle, and any muscle that he adds is going to help his game. He's not going to end up looking like, the Greek freak or anything. He's not going to be the Serbian freak, but if he can put on, 15 pounds of muscle in the off season, and then 5 pounds the next season, then 5 pounds. I mean, Poku with some muscle can be a problem.
Yeah. Another player that looked drastically different than his rookie season was Kevin Durant. He put on a lot of muscle in those first 3 to 4 years, as did Steven Adams. I mean, Adams was a big guy coming in, but Adams got huge.
Yep. And I mean, it's really the one thing. If Poku had 30 pounds more of muscle on him already, the Thunder wouldn't be able to get him a 17. He would have gone higher. That's really the only knock.
That's a good point.
Everybody was like, oh, he can do all these things at 7 foot, and it's incredible. But the dude looks like a toothpick, so I'm kind of scared to take him. So, I mean, why not take him, though? He's still going to be younger than Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley next season.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to be little coming in, because every college and high school player is little coming into the NBA. You put on muscle. If he would have been bigger, he's a lottery pick. So the Thunder got him a year early, and it was a smart thing.
And what a perfect spot for Oklahoma City. It was talked about at draft time, but they were in a position to just take a swing at the highest upside guy. And it looks like it's going to turn out fine, especially on the timeline that they're on. I think they're going to look back and think really highly of that pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been high on Poku from the very beginning. You don't see guys with that size that can do what he does very often. You talk about Porzingis was called a unicorn. I mean, it's the same type of thing. And remember, Presti was a year early on Porzingis. He wanted to draft him. He gave him a draft promise, and then he was going to get him in like the 20s. And then Porzingis backed out and then came out a year later. And then all of a sudden he's a top 5 pick. I'm not saying that Poku would have been a top 5 pick this coming up season, but Poku with some muscle and another year of overseas play and more film on him and all those things, how high would Poku go next season? It would be higher than what he went this season.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. And so he's an exciting guy, and thankfully his injury wasn't anything substantial. He's able to come back in the game. I think we're going to get to see a lot of Poku minutes over the remainder of the season, which is more than enough to get Thunder fans to tune in, because he's a blast to watch. Honestly, good or bad, it's all entertaining. It's all a blast. So we will wrap it there. Oklahoma City's back at it on Monday at 7:00 local time. They host the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks did not play Luka or Porzingis tonight in their loss to the Pelicans. So not only did they help us there, but they would assume they'll play at least Luka on Monday night against the Thunder. So looking forward to that. We'll see if Dort is available, because we have been robbed of Luka versus Lou Dort twice now. So we'll see if we can get that matchup. And we'll be back to talk about it afterwards. Brandon, thanks so much for joining.
Absolutely, my man. Have a good night, Ryan.
All right, Thunder fans, thanks so much. This is the Daily Thunder Podcast.